So while majority of the fighters are praising Terence "Bud" Crawford as pound for pound #1, from Devin Haney to Paulie to Zab to Shakur, and the list goes on and on and on, Gervonta Davis still feels like he could knock out Crawford. Now, a fan asked Gervonta, "You still think you can hang with Bud, champ?" And Gervonta responded with, quote, "That was a sparring partner. F out of here." End of the quote. Now, regardless of how Gervonta feels about Crawford's opponent, the million-dollar question, if Gervonta feels that he could knock out Crawford, is he willing to get in the ring with Crawford and knock out Crawford? Since, according to Tank, he believes Terence "Bud" Crawford has a weak chin, despite the fact that Crawford has never been knocked down before officially and has never been hurt to that extent for someone to come up with the conclusion that Crawford has a weak chin. Therefore, if Gervonta want to show us something that he sees that we don't see, then we all would love to see it, including Crawford himself. However, if Gervonta doesn't want any part of Crawford, then he chose wisely, because Crawford is nobody to play with. As great as Gervonta is, Crawford will make him look ordinary. There's a reason why nobody want to play with Crawford at the welterweight division, nor at 154. After all, the only reason Crawford fought David to begin with is because nobody want to fight the A-class boogeyman Crawford. Originally, Crawford wanted to fight Errol Spence on PBC. He crossed the street all the way to PBC like Errol Spence told him to do. Then he accepted a smaller percentage like the fans and Errol Spence wanted him to do. Crawford negotiated with Errol Spence for 5 months to no avail. I already explained everything that took place, so I'm gonna leave the link for that video in the comment section below. All you need to know is that every single Errol Spence opponent got a guarantee. Most of them got a 50-50 guarantee. All of a sudden, for the first time in history and for the biggest fight in boxing, Crawford gets 0 guarantee. No guarantee at all. To make matters worse, when Crawford accepted these terms of no guarantee and less money, all Crawford wanted in return was full transparency. And for all of the people in the comment section on my last video that said the Ali Act gives you full transparency, like Roger Mayweather said, y'all don't know shit about boxing, nor the business of boxing. The Ali Act has nothing to do with the expenses transparency. Y'all don't even know what the Ali Act is. Like, what the heck the Ali Act has to do with the network expenses? Then you have people say, why didn't Crawford show the contract when Errol Spence said, show the proof? Well, the same thing could be said about Errol Spence. Why didn't Errol show the contract? He has it, right? He could show it, right? So he don't have to tell Crawford to show anything. He could show it himself, unless he's not trying to show us something that he doesn't want the public to know. Or perhaps he will get in trouble. Whatever the case may be, if, for example, Errol Spence could get in trouble and sued for doing that, then why would you guys want Crawford to get in trouble and sued for doing the exact same thing? Therefore, y'all being hypocrites for wanting Crawford to do something that y'all don't want Errol Spence to do. This is common sense. But I guess common sense goes out of the window when some of these fans think emotionally instead of logically. I be losing brain cells talking to some of you fanboys. I'm dead serious when I say some of these fans are worse than Canelo Alvarez fans. So let's get back to the topic at hand. Speaking of Canelo, we all can agree that Errol Spence versus Crawford mega fight is bigger than Canelo Alvarez versus Caleb Plant. So since that's the case, how come Errol Spence and Crawford are getting 0 guarantee? However, on the other hand, Canelo, he received $40 million guaranteed plus pay-per-view, while Caleb Plant received $10 million guaranteed. That's a total of $50 million guaranteed for that fight. Meanwhile, Crawford and Errol Spence get 0 guaranteed. Make it make sense. How come Canelo Alvarez received for a smaller fight full transparency on top of $40 million guaranteed plus pay-per-view? But Crawford, for a bigger fight, he receives zero guaranteed, no guaranteed at all, plus no transparency. Hello, is anybody home? If I didn't know any better, that offer was sent to Crawford to force him out of the fight. That's the truth. Crawford did everything in his power to make the fight happen with Errol Spence, but they didn't want to make it happen. That's not Crawford's fault. In addition to that, Errol Spence admitted on audio, even if Crawford was a fool, where he accepted no transparency to get robbed without a gun. The Errol Spence fight will still not happen in 2022. It was actually reported that the fight could have happened in February or March, which that was 5 months away from the original date they were negotiating for. That's when Crawford told Al Haymon and Errol Spence, if I don't fight Errol Spence in 2022, then I'm gonna fight somebody. I don't care who it is. I'm not wasting the entire year of 2022 without fighting anybody. So again, Errol Spence admitted on audio that the Crawford fight was not gonna happen in 2022 anyway. So why wouldn't Crawford stay active and make $10 million in the process guaranteed? Something Al Haymon couldn't even offer him. That's a no-brainer for anybody. But if you don't think so, then you definitely broke. However, I guess it's okay for Tyson Fury to duck the Usyk undisputed fight in order to fight Chisora, a fighter with 13 losses, the same guy he already beat twice. But it's not okay for Crawford, who tried his best to make the Errol Spence fight happen and come to fruition. However, when they told him the Errol Spence fight is not happening in 2022, only in 2023, then they forced him to walk away. All of a sudden, it's a problem for Crawford to take a stay busy fight against a good fighter, David, and make $10 million guaranteed in the process. And I know what you guys are gonna say. Oh, he could have fought a better opponent. Who? Charlo? So we're gonna act like Jermell Charlo doesn't have a fight scheduled? Plus, Jermell Charlo already told Crawford, leave me alone and go prove yourself. Fight Lubin, when Crawford was calling him out to fight next. So even Charlo doesn't want to fight Crawford. And outside of Jaron Ennis, nobody want to fight Crawford. Not Keith Thurman nor Virgil Ortiz. And when it comes to Jaron Ennis, we all know that's Errol Spence IBF mandatory. So that's Errol Spence's problem to handle. Crawford got his own mandatory in Virgil Ortiz. However, Crawford mandatory Virgil Ortiz, a knockout puncher, has already ducked Crawford for the second time. Where just like Munguia, he petitioned to the WBO not to fight Crawford, but Virgil Ortiz petitioned to the WBA to fight Stanionis, just to prove Virgil Ortiz is scared to death to fight Crawford. So who's left? Keith Thurman, a guy who never wanted to fight Crawford? Like I said before, Crawford had to stay active. And as the A-class boogeyman, he fought who's available. But when it comes to Gervonta stating that Crawford fought a sparring partner, ironically, I never heard Gervonta say that, when Canelo Alvarez actually fought his own sparring partner in Avni Yildirim that was coming off a loss and a 2-year layoff. Matter of fact, forget about that. Let's see what Gervonta says after Canelo Alvarez's next fight, since Canelo Alvarez turned down the Bivol rematch for the second time in order to fight a second tune-up fight against Ryder. Let's see what Gervonta says then. Is he gonna criticize Canelo? I don't think so. Even though Gervonta is having a tune-up fight with a dangerous Hector Garcia ahead of the Ryan Garcia fight. For the people that's not familiar with Hector, that's the guy who beat Primetime, Lil B-Hop, then became a champion. Currently, he is the best champion at 130 pounds. That's who Gervonta voluntarily wanted to fight next. One thing for sure and two things for certain. Canelo Alvarez will never fight a fighter as dangerous as Hector Garcia as a tune-up fight. That's a fact. With the facts being laid out. Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe below and click on the notification bell to be continued on the next episode of Akhi, Akhi TV. Peace. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.